I'm Elisa Parker. This is the Wild and Scenic Film Fest. We're hanging out in the media lounge here. Wild and Scenic is one of the largest environmental film fests of its kind, bringing together everyday action heroes and the filmmakers who are telling their stories. They're often the stories we don't hear about. You know, I am continuously reminded of how there is nothing insignificant in our lives. You know, even the smallest little creature plays a significant role and you might not know that, but just in our lives and of course in our planet and the scope of that and the life that we are connected to. I'm excited to have Jonathan here with us. The film is called Can We Save the Frog Prince? And we're going to hear all about Jonathan's personal story, but first let's talk about frogs, Jonathan.
Let's
talk about it. Okay, tell us about the film.
So the film, Can We Save the Frog Prince, is a story about my team's effort to save some frogs from extinction in a cloud forest in Honduras, where they're suffering from a disease that is causing global amphibian extinctions right now. It's called chytrid fungus. And although there's a lot of reasons why frogs have been disappearing for many decades, including pollution and habitat destruction and possibly even climate change now, meanwhile in the background there's been this disease event happening and spreading from country to country. And it is now causing declines and extinctions all over the world.
And obviously it matters for the frogs. Why does this matter on a larger scale?
There's a lot of reasons why frogs are really important for people and for the environment. The larvae of frogs, the tadpoles that live in the water, they feed on a lot of vegetation that falls in and would otherwise just rot and decay, and that reduces water quality. And that's bad for two reasons. It's bad because it hurts the other animals living in the water that need clean water, but it also is bad for people that live near that area that might be drinking directly from the rivers. So a lot of countries where they don't have water treatment facilities, that matters for people's health. Also, sometimes some of the frogs, their babies and the adults, will eat insects like mosquitoes that can spread disease like malaria and Zika. And just for the environment itself, frogs are really important in terms of providing food for other animals. So while they eat lots of insects, lots of other animals eat them.
Right.
And it's a really important connector in the ecosystem.
How did you get connected into this in the first place? And were you one of those kids? Like when we talk about reptiles and snakes and frogs, was that you?
I was definitely one of those kids coming home with, frogs and snakes in my pocket and mud on my face, and just stuck with it. For a long time, I helped with biodiversity surveys during my summers in high school and college. And then this disease event struck, and it kind of transitioned me from helping with documenting biodiversity to taking action to protect it.
Is this your first film, Jonathan?
Yes, this is my first film.
So what has that experience been like for you?
It has been very eye-opening. So, coming from a scientific background and kind of taking a dive into science communication, it's really taught me a lot about the importance of that kind of outreach to the wider public audience and how we as scientists need to take that extra step now more than ever to engage people in why we do what we do and why so much is at stake for being lost.
Right, and now you live in DC and you work with Fish and Wildlife, is that correct?
I do.
Right, so one of the things I noticed in your film is, a lot of this Wild and Scenic is around solutions and the actions that we can take. So I noticed that the crew was looking at ways, I don't know if it's around eradicating it, because it sounds like there might not be a cure, is that correct? But there are things that you can do with the population. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge with combating this disease event is that frogs don't typically respond to things like vaccines like mammals and humans do. So while we do have some medications that will work in captivity in a really controlled environment, when you put those frogs back in the wild, typically they react as if they never saw it before. So while some zoos and other facilities have been able to rescue species from extinction by keeping them entirely in captivity, we're running out of time and space for, how do we put them back? So what we're excited about in Honduras with our project and what the film chronicles is our effort and our concept of how we think we might have found a way that we can start taking the animals out, fixing them up, and then putting them back and giving them a better chance to survive.
A lot of frogs and tadpoles. What are we talking about numbers-wise?
Once we're up and running, we're almost done building our rescue facility, but once we are operational, we're expecting to swap probably about 500 or 600 frogs a year from the wild with good frogs that we've fixed up to put back in the wild.
So are you spending a lot of time in Honduras?
Yeah. I've So far, I've been working there for about 10 years. Altogether, I've lived in this rainforest for about a year and a half.
Wow, what is it like to live in a rainforest?
Wet.
Okay. What else?
It's beautiful, but it's very wet. You've never seen so many types of green. But yeah, it's a very challenging place to work. We come home with beautiful pictures and people think it's a vacation, but it's as challenging and demanding physically and emotionally. That's why it's so rewarding too.
Yeah, I mean, well, and also like any kind of diseases or illnesses. Yeah. What's happened to you, Jonathan?
So probably my one most severe health issue was I was once bitten by a venomous snake.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a long day. I did eventually have to be rescued by a Black Hawk helicopter.
Wow, what was the snake?
It was just a little ground viper. It's the
my
most common snake in this rainforest. Like they're
Yeah,
everywhere,
so your
but they're not aggressive.
Okay,
It was my mistake.
so you're air vacked out.
Yeah, and it was my very first time in Honduras 10 years ago. So my Spanish wasn't very good at that time. So it was an interesting hospital experience on my own.
And you were okay, obviously.
I was okay.
You survived.
Yeah, everything
Wow.
works.
I love that you can still have a smile on your face about that being bit by a viper.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah, once is enough.
Once is enough.
It's a good learning curve.
Learning experience here at Wild and Scenic. Don't get bit by vipers.
Yes.
Save the frogs. What else can we do to help support the work that you're doing?
People can follow us on social media.
Okay. What's your handle?
At myfrogcroaked, pun intended. And also our website, frogrescue.com. And by sharing our videos, which we also have on YouTube, and also if they would like to donate to us at frogrescue.com, we are still very actively looking for funding to support our rescue facility.
Donate to
Yes,
us. Ask
please
for
donate.
we would donate.
Yes, we are almost done setting up our rescue facility, but then once we do,
Okay.
we will be creating jobs for local Hondurans to work there.
Okay.
And it's a very strong capacity building effort that we need a lot of funding for.
That's great. The theme is, thank you for sharing that, Jonathan, and it's important to support this. The theme's groundswell. So we're converging, we're rising up together. What does that look like for you this last year? Like, what does that mean to you?
It's a very critical time in politics and environment where I think that now more than ever, we need a large cohesive movement to not only acknowledge the problems that we're facing, but then take action. I've been encouraged by how much people seem to have been opening their eyes in the past year, which is great, like the beginning of a swell. But I think we really need to follow through and make that continue.
Right. Why should everyone come to Wild and Scenic?
Because this is amazing. And it's an inspirational place to be reminded that so many people care.
Right.
It's easy, especially with all these challenges, to sometimes get tired and dissuaded, but then to see all these people, both filmmakers and just general public, be so passionate about these things that we work for is really encouraging.
I agree. We don't have vipers here either.
We don't.
No vipers.
Unfortunately.
Rattlesnakes, maybe, but
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jonathan, for
Thank
everything
you.
you're doing to make a difference. I'm Elisa Parker. It's the Wild and Scenic Film Fest. Do get involved, get engaged. Like every single person, you matter, and it's important that we know about these stories. And as Jonathan said, that we take action too. It's that time.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Thank
We'll be
you.
right back. Thanks.